The story of Afghanistan's royal family is little known. The last king, Mohammed Zahir Shah, and his wife, Humaira Begum, ruled for 39 years, eventually deposed in 1973. The couple were famed for their progressive politics, though their lives were riddled with tragedy and fear. King Mohammed was born in 1914 and experienced grief in his young life when his father was assassinated, leaving him as king at the age of just 19. For the next 30 years, he largely ceded power to his uncles, which saw the family put Afghanistan on the map, fostering growth in relations within the international community. As the king slowly took over control of the nation, his moderate politics became evident. Afghanistan was one of the few countries on earth not to get involved in World War II. The king never signed a warrant for anyone's execution like the kings before him, and he used his power to reduce capital punishment and allow for free trials. At the king's behest, a new constitution was introduced in 1964 which made Afghanistan a modern democratic state by introducing free elections, a parliament, civil rights, women's rights and universal suffrage. Much of this progressive work was done in tandem with his wife, Humaira. Read more How to Help Afghanistan. 5 things you can do to help the king and queen consort were, in fact, first cousins, a foreign concept for many but a common practice in royalty and nobility the world over. The couple were married in 1931, just before Mohammed was made king. After WW2, the Queen created the Women's Welfare Association, which was the first ever women's institute in Afghanistan. Queen Humaira was deeply progressive. In 1959, she sparked huge controversy by removing her veil in support of the movement to unveil women in the nation. This marked a huge event in the history of women in Afghanistan, which took place in full view of the public at a military parade. But while the king and queen worked to modernize Afghanistan, they were met with terrible tragedy in their personal lives. The couple had 6 children together, but, tragically, their eldest son Crown Prince Muhammad Akbar Khan, died aged just 9. The cause of death of the royal son is not public knowledge but is believed to have been a huge blow for the family. But the couple moved on and continued making waves in the traditions of the time. However, in 1973, tragedy struck once more. The couple were in Italy while the king received medical treatment when the news reached them their own cousin had staged a coup and overthrown the regime. The cousin, Muhammad Daud Khan, implemented a republican government, while the king and queen went into exile in a tiny apartment in Rome. Abdicating his throne, King Mohammed sent a letter saying he respected the will of my compatriots after realizing the people of Afghanistan with absolute majority welcomed a republican regime. The king and queen lived in exile for 29 years, along with a few other members of their family. But then 9/11 happened, and everything changed. The U.S. invaded Afghanistan in April of 2002, and, as Taliban rule ended, it was announced the king and queen could finally return home. In a terrible twist of fate, Queen Humaira tragically died just weeks before being able to fly to Afghanistan. She had been admitted to hospital with breathing problems and died 2 days later. She was 83 years old. King Mohammed, returning home alone, was welcomed by Afghans, who dubbed the king the father of the nation. He visited his father's tomb soon after arriving in Kabul and reportedly gasped after witnessing rocket holes and gunfire damage on the tomb caused by the civil war. His wife's body was returned to Afghanistan where she was laid to rest. The king died 5 years later in 2007, aged 92. His death was announced on national television by then-President Karzai, who said, "He was the servant of his people, the friend of his people. He was a very kind person, kind-hearted. He believed in the rule of the people and in human rights." Related articles: EU Army warning. France calls for EU to become military superpower. Taliban claims victory in last remaining rebel stronghold. Taliban accused of killing pregnant Afghan policewoman.